I think that being seen by a medical professional is so needed. I was at the doctor recently. The fact that he took his time and didn't think what I was there for was trivial and did the necessary test and had a conversation with me and let me make some decisions on what I wanted to do based on the information that he had given me made me feel like, oh, okay. Because I've often been in doctors' offices and I felt dismissed. And anytime that happens to me with a doctor, I immediately change because I'm like, why am I going to,
why am I paying you? And not only are you not listening to me, you're acting like I'm an inconvenience, or like you said, my issue is trivial, or that I have to just live with it.
Yes.
Like any variation of those things are unacceptable when you're dealing with your provider. That's another facet of conventional medicine where it's about how many patients you can see in a day versus their outcomes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is a contributing factor to why so many people aren't doing well, because if providers are incentivized to see more people a day, it's not necessarily patient-centered or client-centered. It's provider-centered and insurance.
I think that is very important for us to understand this from a medical professional standpoint. I was on a family Zoom call and she was sharing with the family about menopause and like some of the things that we can do for us menopausal or premenopausal women. Right. So she was sharing some things that we could do. And she talked about the fact that a lot of traditional medicine is very money driven. And because doctors can't spend the time necessary in a session, we don't get all the information that we need in order to make appropriate decisions about our body and about our health. If that's the case, what do we then do?
So often now we are calling the Western model of care, the healthcare system, traditional medicine. It is conventional medicine. Traditional medicine is our ancestors' medicine that is botanical based, herb based. That is part of the disconnect because now it's about the technology, the pills, the surgical interventions. So many of us have been calling it traditional medicine because it's the only medicine that we know, because we're so far removed from what traditional medicine truly was. Traditional medicine is that whole person in touch with nature, the seasons, the medicine that our elders and our ancestors were using. But along with that comes, with conventional medicine, comes like, hey, everything's about the dollar, everything's about an incentive, and everything's about how I can get paid. And that's not necessarily a bad thing for providers, but it's not usually a good thing for patients and clients, because we've gotten to the point, even when I talk to my own mother, she's like, the doctor never even touches me. He or she just goes by what they told him. And by the time they come in, all he's doing is either writing a prescription or moving on. And she's like, I don't have any time to talk to him. And I'm getting only about 10 minutes of his time. And still, I'm not able to ask all the questions I have, or even ask follow-up questions about the thing that I came to see. I don't like that. She's like, I feel rushed. I feel coerced. I feel neglected. And if you have one issue that is complex in nature, you definitely can't ask about all the other things that are going on. And so that is the insurance model of care. It's going to pay for what can make them the most money. And unfortunately, consultations where you're asking questions and you're getting answers and there's this exchange of information, that's just not the business of conventional medicine, of modern medicine. And unfortunately, traditional medicine doesn't fit in neatly inside that model.
I had a procedure done and I feel like I'm progressive. I understand these things. I know how to advocate for myself. That doctor did a rolling consultation of what my results were. I came out of the procedure. I'm sitting there. She came in with her paper and she's like, hey, yeah, everything went well. See you next time. She never stopped. And I was like, what just happened? Was that it? I had just came out of local anesthesia. So I'm like, wait. And then make it so bad, the person beside me, her doctor came in and at least spent 3 minutes with her. I'm over here in her conversation. I said, oh, Lord. Okay. And so for me, that's now another doctor that I wouldn't go, because then I had to take my paperwork and then go look up everything. Me look it up when I paid you money to tell me.
And looking up things is the rabbit hole that any provider would not want you to do.
Exactly.
Because you look up one thing and now you're like, oh my gosh, now I might have cancer. Now this is going to lead to that. And it's like, whoa, there's context to all of this. You're an isolated individual and all these things that you're reading are not helpful.